Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to... Why am I still wearing my headphones? Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to my detailing of Day 3 of BronyCon 2019. So, continuing from the last video, BronyCon 2019 started, of course, that morning whenever we ended up waking up. That morning, I know there was one morning that I woke up like a half hour before the clock went off, or before my phone went off. And I think that was the morning that it happened. I believe it was Saturday, August 3rd. Sorry, yeah, Saturday, August 3rd, 2019. I remember waking up and I tried to get out of bed quietly, and I remember I tried to get my laptop out of the bag that I had it in, trying to unzip it quietly, and was trying, went to like Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and such to check to see what people were posting about BronyCon. And I think it was on day 3, I think it was day 2 or day 3, that I noticed over on Twitter, people were tagging themselves with the @ symbol and BronyCon. And I think it was on day 2, I realized, oh, that's a thing? Okay. So then I went ahead and tagged myself as @ BronyCon. And then I started realizing, wait, okay, so how many people are here at BronyCon that I haven't seen yet? And so I finally realized then to tag myself. And I remember narrator got up, and we uh, we each started getting ready again to go to the third day. And I remember getting to the convention center, and once again, we ate breakfast. I got the exact same breakfast sandwich croissant that I ate before. I got the same brownie. I got a bottle of fruit punch Gatorade. This morning we sat. At the one of the tables at the Market Fresh Cafe, and we sat there eating, and I think it was on the third day. No, sorry, it was on Friday that it started storming. This day it was sunny outside, and also narrator recently mentioned on one of my videos the place that we got the hot dog from, which was Nathan's. For some reason, I was thinking Ryan's. I don't know why, but it was Nathan's. So thank you very much, narrator, for remembering that. I completely forgot it. I couldn't remember what the name was, but thank you. Um, but we ended up, after we ate breakfast, the first, let's see, the first event on Saturday was that we went to. Um, I'm not sure if narrator went to the match game pony edition at 10 a.m. or not. I think it might have been. Oh, also, I think the first event that I went to was Ponyfic. There can only be one, which was at 11:30, because that was again, that was another fan fiction thing, and that's the one that I ended up going to. Um, but I remember, uh, also something else I remember as well, is we ended up whenever we got ready to leave the hotel Saturday morning. I ended up we ended up meeting up with a couple of other people in the lobby uh, that were also getting ready to go to the convention center, and I realized that apparently these guys were also staying in the exact same hotel that we were, and one of them looked familiar to me, but I couldn't remember completely who it was. And I remember we got outside of the hotel, and they ended up wanting to get a couple of pictures, and so we got a couple of pictures. So whenever we ended up leaving the hotel, I ended up as we walked along, I ended up happening to glance down at. So we got outside the hotel. And they ended up wanting to get a couple of pictures, and so we got some fun pictures outside of the hotel, and then all started walking, like all 4 of us, I mean all 5 of us, narrator, myself and these other three guys. And we walked, and as we got almost to the convention center, the one that was walking on my right, I happened to just look to the side, got a good look at the badge, and I saw it was Pi Slacker swag. And so, it was so at that point, like I was not expecting to run into Pi at the con either. Here I was walking with narrator, who I am also a fan of, and I'm also now walking with Pi, who I've also been a fan of. And so there was a part of me that was like feeling like, okay, just relax, be calm. And so here we was just walking along, and there was a part of me that felt like squealing, like making like a fanboy squeal on the inside. But I it was awesome. It was super fantastic to be able to actually run into them. And the other guy was Dash fan as well. And so we ended up, all five of us ended up walking to the convention center, and we made our way. Uh, so once we got inside the center, we ended up kind of parting because each of us had different things that we were wanting to do. And so narrator and I got breakfast. We ate at the Market Fresh Cafe um, on the third level. And once we finished eating, the next event, I don't know. I don't know if narrator went to the Match Game Pony Edition or the TFF Analysis Anarchy. I don't think. I think it would might have been the Match Game Pony Edition that he went to. Um, But I myself went to the Ponyfic. There can only be one. I went to that at 11:30, and then at the 12:15, it looks like. At no, sorry, at 11:25 or 11:15. Sorry, 11:15. At 12:15, the next one that I think after that one, I think I might have went on and got in line for writing and show production. I think I might have went to that one because it was about writing. Yeah, because I think narrator went to. I believe that was it. Yeah. I went to writing and show production, and narrator I believe went to from Star Wars to Harry Potter movies in pony voices. I believe he went. I believe he went to that one, and I went to the writing and show production one because I remember on the third day. Um, the third day there were like different events that we were each going to, and so narrator and I was basically just trying to stay in contact through text, basically letting each other know where we were, that we could meet up, and which other event or panel that we were going to go to. And I remember at one point he texted me and told me that his phone battery was about to go dead, and I thought, oh boy, this is not good. And thankfully, he was able to like borrow a phone charger or something. He was able to get his phone charged. Um, and I remember we kind of just kept texting one another about what events we were going to go to. And I wanted to go to the final BronyCon PMV contest results show. I think it was that one. I wanted to get to go to that one. Uh, but I didn't get a chance to because I remember uh, once I came out of writing and show production, I was going to try to get in line for it, but I think his panel might have ended a bit early, and I remember he texted me and told me that he would try to save me a spot, but it was in the Hall of the Stars. It was in the Hall of the Stars, which was the smallest room. It was smaller than the Hall of the Sun and the Hall of the Moon, and so it had a smaller fire code limit to it. I think it might have been capped out at like 250 or 300 or something. And so it filled up really quickly. And so I wasn't able to get to go to that. Um, the next one was at 4 o'clock. No, after we came out of after the writing and show production, we did go ahead, since we didn't get to go to the final BronyCon PMV contest, we went on to main events hall in Hall B, and we got in line for Lauren Faust stories and experiences. We got in line for that one to get to go to that one, and Between that, there was a couple of different things that we ended up doing as well, and that lasted until 5 o'clock. There was a point where there was nothing going on. Narrator was in a panel that he wanted to go to, and I remember at one point it was in between one of these. We ended up going to Nathan's, and we got a hot dog. They had a Nathan's both. They had a Nathan's at the top at the Market Fresh Cafe, so we got a hot dog there, and we went out onto the terrace and ate. And the terrace itself, I loved the terrace outside. It was so beautiful. And I remember we ate out there, and while we were eating, we ended up talking to this grandmother, to this extremely friendly woman. She had like the grayish or white hair, and she was really friendly. She said that she brought like her grandson to it, and I can't remember where she said that she was from, but like narrator and myself, and like we just sat there eating, and all three of us and this woman talked, and it was just so cool. Um, and she was making a mention about how much fun that they had had at the events that they had been to, and at the amazing people that they had encountered, and how the environment, just the warmth, the smiles, the laughter, and just how amazing that it was. And she was making a mention about how the inner harbor was like the tourist area, and it was the safer area in Baltimore, and that's why a lot of people go there. And I remember, like, I can't remember what the name was on her badge, but it was a kind of a comical name, like I want to say it was Queen something or something Queen, and it would just put this image in my mind, like this woman kicks butt, and I mean, like, she's cool, but she kicks butt. And I mean, she was extremely sweet, and it was just great to talk to her as well. And then after we ate, I think that was right after we ate, uh, I remember getting back in line at that point to go to the next event. And I also remember whenever there was another point where narrator was in a panel that he wanted to go to, and there was a break where there wasn't a panel for like an hour or so that I wanted to go to right at the moment, or right then. So I decided I was going to go back into the marketplace. And I remember walking into the marketplace, and I walked back to the Ministry of Image booth, and they had a few different volumes of Project Horizons, but they still didn't have the full set yet. Also, while at BronyCon 2019, besides buying Fallout Equestria and Stardust and trying to get Project Horizons, I also bought Fallout Equestria, Fiara, the Tank Girl. I bought that. And another really cool thing that ended up happening as well. Another really cool thing that ended up happening. There was a couple things that I remember that I had to write down. On the second or third day, while standing in line, um, I remember standing outside. It was outside of the Hall of the Sun, and it was on the end towards one of the other escalators. And I remember getting in line there, and we ended up talking with a couple. I remember I ended up narrator was in a different panel at this point. I don't remember. It was sometime in the morning or very very early in the evening, because the sun was still shining brightly outside. And I remember I was standing in line, and we I remember standing in line, and I got behind a couple of other guys, and we just I remember the one in front of me, the line ended up kind of looping back in a kind of like the way that it looped. It kind of from the stairs, like here's the stairs, and then here's this open area here, and right here is the Hall of the Sun, and so the line kind of went down, and then kind of looped around like this, and then went back into the Hall of the Sun. And so while I was standing in line, there was a couple of guys just kind of standing, just kind of in front of me. And I remember one of them kind of looked back and said, "Hey, what's up?" or something. He said something. He greeted me, and I'm like, "Hey," and I replied to him, and he said he he kind of laughed, and he said he had this. Remember he was smiling, and he said, "Might as well make." He said something like, "Might as well do something to pass the time while we wait," or uh, he said, "What better?" He said something about what better way than making friends or something like that. Or what better way than conversation or something. And so he, myself, and another guy, we just all three of us just started chatting while we stood in line. And one of the guys that I was talking to there, he was from Georgia, and then another guy was, I don't remember where he was from, but I think he was from Australia. And so here it was just interesting. Here you had a guy from Australia, here you had a guy from Georgia, and then here you had me from Virginia. And so here was like all three of us just standing there, different areas, just chatting, just actually just making acquaintances with one another. And unfortunately, we never, I don't think, actually just like said anything about our first names or getting in touch with one another after the con or anything. But it was just cool to just stand there, and it was one of the warm things I loved about BronyCon was it didn't matter who it was, really. You could just stand there and you could just strike up a conversation, or somebody could strike up a conversation with you. And you would not have ever known these people, but here you were just chatting about different things. And I remember we were actually talking about electricity. And I think the guy from Georgia might have said that he worked at one point for one of the power companies or something. I can't remember, but something we here we were just talking about we were just talking about electricity at BronyCon. And so it was just a cool thing, like again, I loved it. It was just so amazing that you could just um get like you would just start talking with different people about different things and just sort of make a connection there. It was just so cool. And another thing that ended up happening was on the third day of during the second day of Bronypalooza on Friday night. After I remember at one point during Bronypalooza, closer to 2 a.m. I remember I just happened to look to my left and I saw narrator standing outside in Hall A. And on the third and final day of Bronypalooza, I happened to turn to my left, and he was standing right. He was standing there next to me. And I remember like he wasn't. He's not really into loud. He's not into loud music, which I have sensitive hearing myself. Um, but he's not he's not into loud music, and he wasn't really into the whole into the concert thing, which is totally cool. Um, but I remember like the second night he stood outside in Hall A waiting for Bronypalooza to wrap up, and once I finished with my camera and everything, I met up with him in Hall A. And during the second night, during the final night, he actually came inside and was uh, was standing there, uh, and that's how I found out. I remember whenever I saw him, I like you had the music playing and everything, and so I kind of had to scream it out a little bit. I asked him, "Was his panel over?" And he said, "Actually, it was." He said it wasn't. He said the panel had ended up running late, and I actually, uh, I, I think I asked him, uh, how long had he been waiting, and he said not long. He said he actually just got there, and that the panel that he was at was running late, and he said it was actually still going on whenever he left. And he said that he thought that the music was supposed to, the concert was supposed to be over at 2. And I told him it's kind of running late as well. And so Uh, so narrator, again, I really appreciate you waiting. I feel bad that you had to wait for me, but again, I really appreciate it. So thanks, man. But another thing that ended up happening, I remember, which was hilarious, was it was during the third day of Ronnie Palooza. Sorry, it was during the third day on Saturday whenever I ran into Pie Slacker Swag. And I remember the photo that I showed of us outside of the Interplaza Hotel. I remember we got to the convention center, and while we were walking around in the marketplace, I remember this was, this was August. Like this was like a month before the supposed Area 51 raid, and so I remember there was like I remember I remember Pi made a mention about something about, I think he said that there was a picture of him that somebody had taken, or like he saw somebody uh that had like made like a Naruto run pose, because that's what people were saying that they were going to do. They were going to Naruto run to Area 51. And I remember telling him that I had seen a couple of cosplayers dressed up as like guards or something, and telling him that it would be cool if he could find those guys and get them to pose with him in a photo of him Naruto running with that horse head on and them like pointing at him. And he said, I remember he was like, oh my gosh, yes. And he's like, I think he was totally on board with the idea. Unfortunately, we never saw the guard, so I don't think he ever got to get the photo, which is unfortunate. But I remember us just talking about that, and it was super fun. It was super fun. And I remember walking around, looking at the different things, and I was actually trying to see. I was keeping my eyes peeled for a really highly detailed Little Pip or Blackjack plush. I mean, I was kind of at that point. I had bought uh, a lot of stuff. I mean, I had bought several things that I wanted to buy, but at that point, I was trying to kind of save my money for something that I really wanted. And I was just looking around to see if there was anything that I really wanted to get. And I remember uh, I ended up running into Locker Swag again in the marketplace. And I remember we just started walking around together, hanging out while we walked around inside the marketplace. And it was so cool. It was so much fun to hang out with him. And I remember uh, we stopped by this booth that did poster prints, that did posters. And I remember they had a Little Pip uh, poster, and I asked if they had one, and the guy said they sold out, but he's getting ready to, probably in about 15 minutes he'll be making a nut. He'll be making some more of them. So Pi and myself started walking around and just looking, and at that point we started. I remember we started talking about Fallout Equestria and talking about how neither of us had read it yet. We were a fan of it, but neither of us had read it, and we were talking about a few of the people that we had seen there as well. And I remember walking. I remember we were just looking at some of the different things that they had in the vendor hall, and I remember stopping by this other booth that sold other printed fan fiction, and I bought a book. It was a Ghost Pony book. I can't remember the title of it, but it had like a picture of a little girl ghost pony on it, and the writer was also there, so I was able to let him sign the book for me, which was amazing. And Pi bought a book or two as well at that booth, and we made our way back to the other booth, and I was able, thank God, I was able to get the Little Pip po- poster. I was able to get the Little Pip poster, and then I remember we we would just walked around, and I remember Pi making a mention, how that it was cool getting to hang out with me. And so Pi, if you ever happen to watch this, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. It was a lot of fun. It was so much fun hanging out with you too. and I really hope that we can actually, I really hope that we can again sometime. It was so much fun. And Pi is a really great guy, laid back, funny, kind. It was just so much fun. It was so much fun hanging out with him. And I remember we ran into Blue Star Brony, and I got to say hi to him. And then narrator said that he wanted to stop by Ratchet's sister's booth because she had a booth set up in the vendor hall in the marketplace. So Pi and I went to where Pi knew where Ratchet's booth was, and so we went up to Ratchet's booth, and my first time meeting Ratchet, and so it was really cool to be able to meet him as well. He's also a great guy. He's friendly. He's really cool. So again, that was so much fun. It was so much fun. Um, so I text narrator and told him where Ratchet's booth was, where his sister's booth was, and where he could find, and that Ratchet was there as well. So I told him that, and Pi and myself, we continued to walk around inside for probably about another half hour. And I remember looking at my watch and making a mention about the next event that I wanted to try to get to go to. And so Pi and I, we kind of went our separate ways at that point because I think he was still going to do some shopping, and I wanted to get to the next panel, so we ended up having to part. Um, but again, Pi, if you ever watch this, man, again, thank you so much. It was great talking to you. It was great hanging out with you. Would love to get to do it again. So thank you. And then I remember we got to. Remember narrator and I got to the Lauren Faust panel, and I remember sitting inside of the Hall B and listening to Lauren talk about the show and her experiences. And I remember she made a mention about DC Superhero Girls, another show that she had worked on. And I remember thinking, oh, I need to check that out because I didn't know what it was. And so it was actually this year, 2020, before I finally remembered to. I know, right? It took long enough. Before I finally remembered to check the series out. And honestly, I love it. It's a fun show. It's a fun series. Um, I honestly, it's a great show. I love it. So, yeah, you can tell that she worked on it, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And so I remember after Lauren Faust's panel at 5, uh, we didn't get to go. Lauren's panel ended at 5. The Ponies, the Anthology 7 premiere, we did not go to that. At that point, I think the next thing that we did after, yeah, I think at that point I think that might have been whenever we went to get something to eat, narrator and I. I think we might have picked that moment to get something to eat. And then we wanted to get to, yeah, the next panel that we went to was at 7:45. We got in line early for that. Like I think after we came out of the Lauren Foss panel at 7, I think we might have went ahead and went on. I keep thinking we might have got something to eat, but I don't remember for sure. But I know we went straight and got in line for the Hall of Chaos for the Let's Play Jackbox After Dark edition. And again, it was so much fun at that point, getting back into the Hall of Chaos again. And Jackbox was so much fun. It was so much fun hearing them play and just the audacity and just the craziness of it. It was so much fun. Again, like I remember looking around and seeing people laughing, and it was just so much fun. And then right after the Let's Play Jackbox, we went right back into to Cadence's chaotic crack ships. We went right back into that, I believe it was, again in the Hall of Chaos. Uh, and because I remember I originally thought about going to the So You Want a YouTube panel, but I had to make a choice. So I decided to go to Cadence's chaotic crack ships. And then after that was After that was over at 10, I went and got in line for, I think narrator might have stayed for the Aprilverse live and interactive fanfic reading experience. Uh, but I know I went and got in line for So What Else Is On in the Hall of the Moon. I remember going to that. Um, and then, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I went to It's in Our Hooves Now, The Importance of Fan Fiction After the Series Ends, because I remember I was torn between going to So What Else Is On and the fanfiction one, but I really wanted to go to the fanfiction one. So I think after Cadence's Chaotic Crack Ships, I went and got in line for, yeah, I did. I went and got in line for It's in Our Hooves Now. So that the next fanfiction panel was at 11:30. I went and got in line for that, and I remember coming out of the Hall of Chaos after that panel there, after the crack ship panel. I remember coming out of the Hall of Chaos, making my because narrator was going to stay for another panel, which I think it was the Aprilverse one, I think. And then he might have actually been going to stay for the Horse Famous After Dark panel at the same time that the It's an Our Hooves Now panel was going on. Um, but I remember coming out of the Hall of Chaos, walking back through the Hilton, walking down the Sky Bridge, and I remember passing by a security guard standing outside, standing once you came out of that, and I remember walking by him and saying hi, and he said hi. Really friendly guy, and also a couple of something else before I forget this right here. Before I forget this, I also remember running into a few other people. Um, Wait, was that Sunday? It was actually on the third day here that I walked by the people that were actually singing the Good Morning Baltimore song. It was actually on the third day here that was happening. And I think it was the third day. It was the third day or the fourth day. I don't remember which day it was, but I also ran into. I think it was Loquacious of Herd. I ran into him, and again, we didn't get to hang out very long. We got to speak a little bit and hang out uh, for a few minutes because narrator and myself, we had just come out, I think, of a panel in the Hall of Chaos, and I think we were on our way to another panel in the Hall of the Sun or the Hall of the Moon. And also ran into Swirl Dip as well, and he and I started talking about. We were talking about our pets. We were showing each other pictures of our pets, and that was a lot of fun as well. So Loquacious of Herd and Swirl Dip. If you guys see this again, it was great hanging out the few minutes that we got to hang out with. I wish we could have had more time to hang out more. It was really great hanging out with you guys. What little bit of time that we got to, and uh, we also got to see Johnny Fireflame. I said that before. We got to see Johnny Fireflame in the one of the other panels in the Hall of Chaos during the morning. And so again, we didn't get to talk to him very much, but again, it was great hanging out with that short period of time. It was great to see Johnny Fireflame as well. Um, but I remember uh, there were a couple of other people that actually knew me from YouTube as well that I got to see, and one of them I got to see on Sunday, which I will explain that in the next video that I do for day 4. But I remember coming out and I stopped at the vending machine at the entrance to the Sky Bridge, and I got a fruit punch Gatorade, and I made my way uh, towards where the Hall of the Sun and Hall of the Moon were. I got to close to the bathrooms. I got to where I think it was Starbucks was, and I remember sitting at one of the chairs and the tables there, and I remember sitting there and taking a few minutes break while I took a few drinks of Gatorade, And I remember, I remember sitting there, and it was kind of quiet and peaceful. There was nobody else there, and sitting there and kind of looking around, you wouldn't at that point you wouldn't have thought that there was over like 10,000 people there, but I remember sitting there, and I remember just kind of thinking about how amazing it was to be there, and thinking, I'm getting ready to go to the next panel, and then getting ready, Lord willing, to get to go to BronyPalooza for the final night. And like, there was a part of me that didn't want, I didn't want the night to end, but I also wanted to experience it at the same time. And so, uh, at at 11:30, I went on to It's an Our Hooves Now, and then at 12:30, once It Was an Our Hooves Now was over with, I went on to BronyPalooza to enjoy the last hour and a half of BronyPalooza. I did actually contemplate going to the Distant Worlds riding for non-MLP settings, but I remember thinking, nah, nah, I want to ride for ponies, so I'm just gonna pass on that. Um, but I think that I believe that narrator did stay for the Horse Famous After Dark, because I remember he said that it ran longer. Um, and it was actually, I think it was that one. He said it was still going on uh, whenever he left. That he left before it was over with. I think it was that one. It might have been the uh, Tavern Burlesque finale. It might have been that one, but I remember he said there was one that was still going on whenever he left. And so I went on to the last hour and a half of BronyPalooza. And a couple of other things was during that day, I remember walking around in between the panels, and besides the people that were singing outside that I described before, which actually happened on day 3, I got the day wrong. I also got to walk inside of the Baltimore arcade, and it was really cool. There were people playing CS:GO, and there was like Pokemon, there was like Mario Party or Smash or something, and then there in the back of the corner there were people playing. I thought it was Rock Band, or sorry, Guitar Hero, and it was the ML. They had MLP uh, songs in it because they were playing Discord whenever I walked in, and I remember it was just so cool. It was so much fun, and I also got to I didn't go into the tabletop games, to the Stabletop games area. I wanted to walk in, but I was afraid I might bother some people, so I just kind of walked just on the inside of the door and kind of looked around because I didn't want to distract anybody. And then I got to walk outside on the terrace and got to check out the terrace and get a few pictures of that. I got to record a little bit of the fountain. And while I was out there, I also found this little picture of Pinkie, a Pinkie Pie, that a little sticker that someone had put on the window that said, "Thanks, Baltimore, for the smiles." And it was kind of bittersweet to see it, like this was Saturday, and narrator and I did at one point. I don't remember. Uh, I think I think it was after we came out of I remember coming out of the vendor hall after Pi and myself were walking around, and I remember I had my stuff, and we got up to uh, that might have been on Sunday. That might have been on no, that was on Sunday that this happened. Uh, but I I remember sitting up near the Market Fresh Cafe in a chair and just kind of relaxing for a little bit, and going over uh, going over the schedule of events, and there was somebody that was sitting in front of me talking to somebody else, or a couple people that were sitting in front of me, and they started trying to find their schedule, and I simply handed mine over to them and asked them if they wanted to borrow it, or they were trying to find it, and I just reached over and gave them mine. I said, "Here," and they said thanks, and they started going over it, what was happening next, and then they handed it back to me, and I told them thanks, and so, you know, that was pretty cool. And I remember that was though on Sunday, I'm pretty sure. But I remember on there was a reason why I don't remember exactly what I don't remember what it was, but I remember there was a reason we went back to the hotel, and I think it might have been to take the stuff that I bought on Saturday back to the hotel because Narrator and I both went, and I remember whenever we got back to the convention center, we were immediately saw this beautiful Mustang GT, or this beautiful Mustang sky blue sitting there outside with a rainbow stripe going down the hood, roof, and trunk, and the rear fascia, and rear bumper. And the car was gorgeous, and it was playing like Rainbow Dash, music. It was her singing "I'll Fly" from Tanks for the Memories, and I got some footage of that car as well. And I think it was the guy's wife that actually owned the car. And so, like, the car apparently had just showed up because there weren't that many people outside at all. But then, right after we started like taking pictures of it, suddenly there was a lot of people that started congregating outside and started getting pictures of the car. And then I remember I ran into Pi again at one point, and I think it was Pi and Ash Van both, and I asked them had they seen the Mustang outside. I don't know if they, pardon me. And I remember I think they might have walked outside to actually catch it. I'm not really sure, but I remember also walking along the third level and looking down on the second level, and there was like a little sing along kind of thing going on that they had going on the second level. And I remember at one point, Narrator and myself were kind of walking around, and we walked down the second level by the escalator, and we end, we ended up coming out of a different area of the convention center, and I think we actually came out on the front at the front area where you go into the Hilton, where it connects pretty much, and we ended up going back up some stairs, and at that point we kind of got lost inside of the convention center because we didn't really know where we were. And I remember we asked one of the security guards how you get back to like the second level of it, like where the escalator was, and he pointed and told us where to go. And we ended up we turned a corner, and that's whenever we saw the escalator that went up, and I recognized some of the seats and the big uh, carved, or the big ship that they had, that like the metal ship that they had up on the corner, up on the upper level. And I remember uh, when that night, going back to that night, I remember uh, whenever BronyPalooza, I walked in at 12:30. As I started walking in, I immediately started taking my backpack off and unzipping my carry case for my tripod. And once again, I got to the back, um, yeah, the back of the crowd, and I set up my tripod and I turned everything on and I started recording again. And I remember, I don't remember the artist that was playing at the time, but on this was Saturday night, the final night of BronyPalooza, and I remember um, the floor wasn't thumping as much as it was on Friday night, which felt a lot better for my chest cavity. But I remember standing there in the back and just recording and seeing the different images of like the characters up up on the screen, and I remember looking around and, oh, I forgot to mention this was the shirt that I wore on Saturday. The reason why I chose to wear the DJ Pawn 3 shirt, the vinyl t-shirt for Saturday, was because of where I knew it was the final day of BronyPalooza. And so I kind of wore the vinyl shirt to kind of somewhat honor the final day of the BronyPalooza concert. So that's why I chose to wear it then. But I remember uh, whenever on Saturday night, I don't remember what time it was, but it was after 1 a.m. It was after 1:30 a.m. Um, I remember they started uh, singing great. They started singing "Isn't It Great to Be Different," and I remember just it kind of just hit me. Uh, it just the people in front of me. I saw people just put their arms around one another and they just started, swaying side to side gently. And I saw I think like a few glow sticks that people had held up in the air, and they had like the glow stick bands, and they had their hands raised and slowly moving side to side. And I remember there was someone in a derpy costume got up on stage, and they were singing that, and it just hit me. And it I remember I started tearing up because there was just so much kind of at that point. It was the idea that it was the final the final night of BronyPalooza, and I didn't want it to end. And it was just the magic itself of this fandom, and the love and the warmth and the open hearts, the open minds, and the open arms that I have seen within this fandom, and all of it. Just seeing that warmth and that love in front of me, and it was just so much going through my mind at one point, and I just started tearing up. And nobody could hear me, but I was singing along in the back, and I was like, I had my hand also slowly going side to side. And I remember just, I wanted to party the night away. I wanted to just enjoy the night and live it like it was my last night on earth. And just seeing the people in front and seeing people, I remember looking around and seeing other people that were crying, and just like hugging and their arms around one another as they sang along. And I'm just, I don't think that was the final song that they played, but it was closer to whenever they wrapped up everything. And it was almost overwhelming, at just the emotion that I was feeling at that moment. And I remember, it kind of almost makes me tear up now thinking about it. You probably heard my voice just crack right there. Um, but I remember just seeing that, and it was just so amazing. It was just so amazing. And I remember turning to my left, and narrator was standing right there, and I'm kind of thinking, "Hey, where did you come from?" and I asked him, "Was the panel over?" And he said, "Nope." He said it actually ran longer, and it was actually still going on whenever he left. And BronyPalooza was supposed to wrap up at 2 a.m. But it was supposed to wrap up at 2 a.m. But the funny thing was, it actually didn't wrap up until like 2:30. And I remember 2 o'clock arrived, they were still playing music, and like 10 after 2 arrived, they were still playing music. And I'm thinking, at that point, I was beginning to wonder if they were actually going to play all night. And I thought, if they're going to play all night, at some point I'm probably going to have to leave. But I thought, I don't want to leave. I just want to stay here and enjoy this, because I don't know, because this is my last chance. And thank God they did actually go ahead and wrap it up, because I didn't want to miss anything. And I remember they wrapped everything up about like 2:30, about 2:30 that morning. It ran like for a half hour later. And I remember, Guy got up on stage and basically told everybody, that was it for basically for BronyPalooza 2019. And you don't have to go home, but you can't stay there. And I'm thinking, I don't want to go home. I want to stay here. And I remember, like, whenever people started walking out, and I remember putting my, you know, uh, taking my camera off the tripod and putting it back in my bag, and um, putting my tripod back in its sleeve, and walking out. And I remember walking out of Hall B, and I remember looking back into Hall B, looking at the screen and the lights above, and I looked at the small stage, or the booth that they had set up, the music booth that they had set up behind where people ran everything. And I remember just looking back into Hall B and thinking to myself, thank you for such an amazing performance. And thank you, BronyPalooza, for such an amazing performance. And I remember kind of thinking to myself, I partied until they told us to leave. And I remember that night, whenever like they had the music pumping, I mean, that place was lit. Whenever the music was pumping, like I was fist pumping and shouting with everybody else, and I'm like, you know what? This is my first actual major big concert of sorts in my life, and it's one I really wanted to go to. Heck yeah, I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm thinking, this is me. Like this is my scene right here. Lights, smoke machines, sparks, lasers. Like this is my scene right here. And that was me. That was my scene right there. And I remember just looking back into Hall B and just feeling that feeling of sadness filling me because I didn't want to leave. And I remember we walked out, we walked back out into the lobby, and it was like 2:30 in the morning. And I remember we walked out of the Charles Street lobby doors, and we made our way back down the street, back down Pratt Street again. Um, and I remember looking around and thinking, huh, so this is what the inner harbor of Baltimore looks like at 2:30 a.m. And it was actually beautiful, though. It really was. And I remember we stopped by Royal Farms again to get something to eat. And the funny thing about Royal Farms was it was always a game of chance with my food. Narrator and I ate there 3 times. Once on Saturday morning after we left the convention on Saturday morning, and then we ate there again Sunday morning, and then we ate there again. No, actually, we left. No, we ate there. Yeah, Saturday morning once. We ate there again Sunday morning. I'm thinking we ate there 3 times. And I remember, yeah, we ate there 3 times. And I remember every single time that I did, every time that he ordered his food, he always got what he ordered. The only time that I got what I ordered was the first day that I ordered anything that I got food there. The other 2 times, it was pretty much random. I ordered a burger and fries the first time. That's what I got. The second time, I got a burger and 2 orders of fries. So I let narrator have the other one because I wasn't going to be eating it. And then the third time, I got 2 burgers. So, and I remember narrator he thought he found it was hilarious because like he somehow was getting the exact food that he ordered, but every single time for me, it was just random. It was like a surprise was thrown in every single time that I ordered. And I'm thinking, you know what? I don't know if I'll ever get the same food that I ordered ever again because it's just random every time. And I remember it was like we got back to the hotel, we ate, and it was like probably close to 3 o'clock. By the time it was probably about 3 o'clock, but by the time we each turned in and started to try to go to sleep, and we were too tired. Both of us were too tired to take a shower. Uh, we decided we would each take a shower the next morning on Sunday. And by this point, though, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, oh dang, we need to get up at 8 o'clock. This is going to be the time whenever I don't get as much sleep. But I thought, no, I'm going to party. I'm going to enjoy it. Tomorrow's the final day. I'm going to enjoy it. Screw not having enough sleep. I'm going to enjoy it. Dang it. So I remember starting to try to go to sleep, and That was the third day of BronyCon 2019, and that was my memories of that. And so uh, I remember just trying to, just enjoying that, and I'm very happy that I got to enjoy the last hour and a half of BronyPalooza, or sorry, the last 2 hours of BronyPalooza on Saturday night, and I'm glad I got to enjoy like an hour and a half of it on Friday night. So I'm really glad for that. I'm very thankful for it. But that was the third day, BronyCon 2019, and I'll just have one more day left, which is the fourth and final day, and then the final day, which is the day that I came home on Monday, and what the exploits that we had then. But that's the third day of BronyCon 2019, my experience with that. So hope you guys enjoyed, maybe got some laughs out of it. So thanks again for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.